Good morning, everybody. Episode 71. John here. Welcome to the School of Shred. Today, we're going to be talking about fasting for freedom and how fasting, metabolic fasting, intermittent fasting, can provide you some freedom. So go ahead and pull up a seat, get a cup full of water because we're not putting any calories in our bodies today. And we're going to talk about fasting. This is a question I get a lot. I get a lot of questions, friends, clients ask me about this. My inner circle and my friends in my life that I share time with and whatnot all know that I'm a big faster. I have been for a few years now, several years. And so we're going to get into some fasting stuff here today. And it's kind of going to tail off of ride the coattails, so to speak, of what we talked about yesterday. So we're going to get into that. This is episode 71. This is the show that's designed to help you shred your old and make better your new. That's a better body, a better mindset, a better life. Okay, we shred body fat, we shred limitations, we shred habits no longer serving us. We are definite in our purpose here, and we know where we're going. We're here to get better. So if you didn't know this, if you're watching this right now, if you didn't know this, this show is shot live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then it's redirected audio only on the Spotify app and the podcast app for iTunes, okay? So you can take the show on the go. Wherever you go, you could take to school with you. You could be in your car right now listening to this. That could be you. So throw a flex emoji in the comments. Let's get it fired up, and we're going to talk about fasting here. We already got some flexing happening. We already got some people doing some bicep curls in the comment section. You might want to jump in and get a workout in this morning. So fasting for freedom. We're going to talk about different ways that fasting can produce freedom in your life. Might help you find some freedom, because that's what I want for you. I want you to be free. This is what fasting does, is it creates freedom. And really what fitness does, chasing fitness goals, it creates freedom because it creates an energized body full of life that can go out and do great things, whether that's in business or your profession, your career, whatever you want to call it, or your relationships. You know, that person that you see yourself being is always magnified for the better with fitness and being healthy. And that's what this show is about. That's who this is for. And so I want to talk a little bit about creating freedom through your nutrition today. And we can do that through fasting. So there's 3 key points I'm going to touch on here today that I got written down in my notes. And that is time freedom. We'll talk about that. We got physical freedom. And then we got financial freedom. Did you know that fasting can create financial freedom? Stay till the end. You're going to find that out. So number 1 is time freedom. And if you guys have ever tried fasting, any type of intermittent fasting, go ahead and throw some fire in the comments or say, I have tried fasting. Whatever you prefer. Drop me a little something in the comments if you've ever tried fasting. And let me know what you thought of it. Let's get some feedback here this morning. Let's get some participation. So time freedom, how can fasting create time freedom? Fasting can create time freedom because it opens you up to be able to, because you don't eat. So if you guys don't know what fasting is, I'll kind of mow over that real quick. Fasting is where you withhold calorie intake for an extended period of time. Typically, you're going to hear about 16-8 methods, which are where you withhold calories and calorie intake for 16 hours. So say you wouldn't eat from, I'm really bad at math now, from 10 a.m. Until, help me out, what would 10 p.m. to, about 2 p.m. the next day, right? So from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. the next day. So you would basically skip breakfast and have a late lunch after 2 if you were doing a 16-8 method. Okay, so pardon my quick math there. But anyway, so that's one way to do it. That's kind of the main way, is where you just essentially skip breakfast and then have a late lunch. Now, some people, a lot of us have been taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that's exactly what cereal companies want you to think. That's exactly what Lucky Charms wants you to think, and Corn Flakes and all of those guys want you to think. And the oatmeal brand Quaker wants you to think that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, for sure. Anybody who sells food wants you to think that food is really, really important. Coca-Cola wants you to think that 3 to 4 Coca-Colas a day is totally healthy and good for you. So, knowing that, these companies have an interest in you consuming their product, we can now move on to not worrying so much about breakfast, because we're going to talk about some science when we get into physical freedom. So with time freedom, what you're getting is, if you wake up in the morning and you got to get to the office, you got to get to work, you got to start hustling and bustling. Maybe you're just not hungry. I grew up always like being not hungry in the mornings, and it was usually because I had a late dinner. So anyway, if you wake up and you're not hungry, you don't have to eat breakfast. You don't have to eat lunch. You can have a cup of coffee with some, full fat cream in it, something that's just some fats, or just or some black coffee. Either of those are good options, and then you just get going on with your day and get producing in your life. So you don't have to have breakfast, you don't have to have lunch, you can have it later in the day. But you can also do 24-hour fast. There's also extended fast that you would go with water or just bone broth, where you do like 48, 72. There's some health benefits there. Definitely don't want to be doing those every week though. So, but like intermittent fasting is pretty popular with, you can do that every day if you want, 16-hour fast, or you can do it a couple times a week. But the idea here is, like, so say you got like a really busy day at work where you have a bunch of meetings stacked up. That could be a day where you just plan to fast. You plan to just mow through it. If you're traveling through airports and whatnot, and you're going to be busy all day, maybe you're not going to be that active, and you're going to be in airports where there's bad food everywhere. Well, instead of trying to prep food and bring your own food, you could just fast and make it really simple. And so fasting has a lot of implications of time freedom that it can create for you, which is great. I know when I started fasting, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in my early 20s and I just got into personal training, I was doing the standard 6 meals a day. And so what I would do every night, I'd get home, I'd have to wash 6 little Tupperwares out. I think it was 5 Tupperwares out, because I would eat breakfast at home. 5 little Tupperwares, I would have to wash them out, wax on, wax off, good little mindset drills, cleaning those Tupperwares. And then I would have to make and weigh out, my 5 meals for the next day. So I'd weigh out my rice, my chicken, all of that stuff. That was very time consuming. So after working a long day, and back at this point, I was barely had 2 nickels to rub together. So I was taking the bus. Those 2 nickels went to the bus fee. So I would ride the bus, and it's a 20-minute drive from where I live to the city of Bellevue, Washington, where I've worked for almost 10 years. And the bus ride is about 45 minutes. So you got an hour and a half just commuting a day. You got an 8-hour shift. I would work out for about an hour a day. So, I mean, that's over, that's like 11 hours gone. Just going to work and the commuting and all that. Then I'd get home and have to prep all my food. And you can see really quickly where, none of that sounds like you get any downtime to yourself, right? And so I know there's a lot of people out there that work 10 to 12-hour days. And so, making a bunch of individual meals might not be ideal for you. It might not help you to hear that you just need to prep a bunch of food. Well, this is where fasting can work to your advantage. If you eat large meals infrequently, there's nothing wrong with that. There's certainly a lot of health benefits to that for who is tolerant to it. So just consider that. You get time freedom if you fast. If you have a busy day, you don't have to eat. Number 2 is physical freedom. So this can create some physical freedom. And how does it create physical freedom, John? Well, physical freedom can be done because what it's going to do, it's going to improve your health. So there's a few cool things I want to bring up that fasting does. And the real reason that I do fasting is not just for fat loss. It is for these things that I'm going to go into right here. So one of these things is called apoptosis. Apoptosis happens anyway, but basically it's when cells die in your body. But what happens when you fast is something called autophagy kicks in. Okay, and cellular autophagy is where your body actually recycles these dead cells and gets rid of them and uses them for energy. And so you're actually getting rid of dead mutated cells that could be cancerous, There could be all sorts of issues. You get rid of cytokine production, which is inflammation. Fasting is a very potent anti-inflammatory. This is why, philosophers for hundreds of years have been talking about how when you get sick, fast instead. Don't feed sickness. I'm going to actually try and look up something real quick. We are in a dynamic atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen. I am able to, I'm doing the real-time lookup here on online for us. Let's see here. Let's look at some old quotes here. Okay, so Benjamin Franklin, the best of all medicines is resting and fasting. So anyway, it's been used for a long time. Fasting has, and it's been known it's got potent effects. Like if you're sick, you're not hungry, you don't have to eat when you're sick. That's one of the interesting things as well, is people will think that maybe they need to eat and whatnot. What do you eat when you're sick? It's usually chicken noodle soup. Well, what's chicken noodle soup? It's basically bone broth, which has glycine in it, which is good for you. It's good for your gut. It's good for your immune system. So fasting can create physical freedom because it increases health. It increases cellular health. It increases cellular autophagy, which is like a spring cleaning for your cells. So when you have apoptosis happen, you're not getting rid of those cells. Okay, you have dead cells that could be in your body. What autophagy does when you fast is it gets rid of those cells and it uses them. You get rid of free radicals. You get rid of cytokines and inflammation. So those are some awesome reasons to use fasting. It creates physical freedom. Another big thing that we talked about yesterday, we talked about on episode 70, we talked about insulin investment strategies. Well, fasting is probably the best insulin investment strategy that you could have. Okay. I just noticed that if you're seeing this thing right here, this is an oil diffuser I got going on. Don't worry, I don't have like a cigarette going over here or something, or incense burning. We have a little oil diffusing in here, a little lavender to start the day. But at any rate, so what I was saying is we were talking about insulin investment strategies yesterday. Well, this is one of the most potent things you do for insulin, because when you fast, you actually drop insulin down, because every food that you eat is going to produce some insulin, because it's important. It's insulin helps store nutrients. Okay, it helps store things. It helps regulate blood sugar. It's an important hormone that needs to work and function properly, right? And the way that we can take care of that is by fasting. So if we always redline insulin, what happens is our body gets less efficient with insulin. Okay, it either our insulin receptor sites along muscles and liver cells, they start to close their doors to insulin's effects, so we have to produce more insulin. So basically, insulin resistance begets insulin resistance, like it continues that process. But when we fast, we drop insulin levels really low, we stabilize blood glucose levels, and then we're sensitive to insulin's effects when we need it. And so this is a great way. And we have exercise. We know that really helps. Yesterday, we also talked about sleep. That helps insulin sensitivity. And fasting is also a great way to increase insulin sensitivity. There's many different ways to fast. Like I said, there's a 16 and 8 method where you withhold calories for 16 hours. You eat all your calories within 8 hours. You can do that however you want. You can start eating in the morning and then shut it down the second half of the day, or vice versa. You could do 24-hour fast and eat one big meal a day. You could do that just once or twice a week, either of those. You don't have to do them every day. You can flirt with it in the beginning. When you're fasting, a couple things that you want to think about doing, though, is maybe have some extra calories around. If you're not used to it, you might not have the mitochondria efficiency to create energy when you're in the middle of a fast. So have a bailout. Have some food around that you can bail out if you need to. Eventually, as you try fasting more and more, your body should get acclimated, and you'd be very surprised what you can do in a fasted state. I've been fasting for about 3 years now, in one way or another. I've done weekly 24-hour fasts for about 3 years now, and now I pretty much do 24-hour fast every day. And it's amazing the production I can get out of my body without having to eat for extended periods of time. Now, but I've practiced that and I've worked into that. Okay, and so like I can go roll jujitsu for an hour and then go lift weights and then work a whole shift with clients and then come home and eat after 24 hours and be good. So it's really interesting stuff that you can do. I'm just seeing some comments here. I thought you were hanging out with Snoop Dogg when I was talking about the smoke coming. Yeah, the old diffuser. Yeah, we're just chilling with Snoop Dogg in here, man. We're getting after it. Gin and juice, baby. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is financial freedom. Do you guys want some financial freedom from fasting? How can it help us with financial freedom? Well, you can save money from not eating out and eating convenience foods. So instead of having to go out and buy a $10 meal or a $15 meal, when you're out, in the middle of the day, if you're at the office and you forgot your lunch or whatever it is, you can not buy that meal, and that will save you money. If you're in airports and you're traveling, there's really nothing super useful at airports now. If you can find stuff, like you could find nuts and seeds and things like that and meat if you really wanted to, but you also don't have to. You could just fast your way through it. I know for myself, when I'm traveling, I typically will just fast. I'll do a water fast because your activity is super low when you're going through airports. Most of the time, you're just sitting, and I'll just grind it out that way, and have some coffee and some water, and not eat. So that helps you save money. Also, you're eating less, and when you're eating less, you're saving money, folks. Even if you're prepping food from home, you don't have to worry about getting the food and spending more money on having food with you. So you save money that way. So fasting overall, it can have some great implications in your diet, in your program. You want to start slow with this stuff, though. So some people out there, you got to be careful when you're doing this thing. Have a bailout when you go to do it. If you have any health precautions, obviously you need to go talk to your doctor before you try these things. But this is a great method that you can implement in your life if your body takes to it, and most people will. I've worked with people who have some serious metabolic issues, and we have explored it, and they accepted responsibility for exploring it, and it made them better, and it improved their health, their metabolic health, their objective metabolic health, like with blood numbers and blood work and whatnot. So this can be really, really potent, you guys. So I want freedom for you. I want nutritional freedom for you and health freedom. And so by implementing some intermittent fasting techniques, whether that's 18 or the 16-8 method, withholding calories for 16 hours and eating all of them within 8, or a 24-hour method, or the occasional 48 to 72 or longer method. This can really help you drop dead cells that could become cancerous and cause issues in your body long term. It can help your insulin sensitivity. It can help your wallet from spending, unnecessary money on food. And it can also help time freedom and free up your day so you can go produce more in your life and create a better life. So that's episode 71 of the School of Shred. If you guys want to jump on and learn something on a webinar, if you guys have never done a webinar, you should do a webinar. We should go to webinar land together. Go to schoolofshredpodcast.com/webinar to sign up for my webinar on Wednesday. The date right now is September 22nd. So tomorrow, September 23rd at 7 p.m., we're going to be rolling deep. We're going to be talking about holistic health and how you can shred half of your body fat while at home. I know it's a bold statement, but come hang out with me for an hour to an hour and a half tomorrow. Sign up for the webinar, schoolofshredpodcast.com/webinar, and we're going to get after it tomorrow. We're going to learn some stuff. So I hope you guys learned something today, though. This added value to your day. This served you. And with that, I want you guys to stay strong and healthy in body, stay relentless and energized in spirit, and stay determined in your pursuits today. That spells shred. Now go shred the day and get better in every way. We'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 72.